All right. And welcome, Caspar and Lawrence. Thank you so much for joining us on BlockDev's Asia Tech Talks. So decentralized finance has really been blowing up recently. In the last year, there's been a tenfold increase in staked finance from 4 billion to over 40 billion as of this recording. Lawrence, can you tell us what is decentralized finance and why is it important?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, or at least to me, I think, DeFi to many people have their own definitions. But I think at least to me, it just means that it's a new type of, financial services that's not run by centralized institutions like banks, but rather by smart contracts where the service is actually very transparent and not really controlled by anyone. And, users will be able to find new opportunities and ways to really utilize that capital, in a new financial kind of like setups and structures that, previously is really more managed by a, centralized financial players. But this time around is really the community developing products that's, really geared towards the users, and users will be able to find, substantial benefits from these products.
That's great. That's great. So your product RAMP DeFi is a brand new DeFi protocol coming out. When was it started, and who's the team, and what's it all about?
Yeah, so maybe I'll just go a little bit into the background on how RAMP DeFi came about. So I think back in 2019, that late 2019, I was actually still with my former company called IOST. Actually, I know Caspar from IOST back then. We started looking into DeFi, and in fact, early last year, I met up with Caspar in Philippines, in Manila, to start discussing and work on a DeFi project, and it was called Fuse back then. We were ideating and looking for solutions that can be meaningful for the crypto industry. Obviously after that the pandemic hit, and things took a slowdown, and then we re-engaged onto what became RAMP last year and in quarter 3. And when DeFi really started picking up, I think the market timing is super important when it comes to launching and developing products. The entire crypto market were starting to move. Real useful, meaningful DeFi products were coming online, like guys like Wirearn, Compound, etc. They really took the lead in driving that sort of mindshare within the crypto community. I guess, that's when things really start shaping up. Of course, Caspar came on board to become the technical lead for us, which was a very meaningful and very thankful. I think so far in our entire journey, Caspar has contributed a lot. The solution architecture, crafting, the really the base and foundation for what is really a very complex product. But I think here I'd like to also give Caspar a chance to share a little bit more, in how the journey has came by for RAMP DeFi.
Yeah, Caspar, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the project.
Yeah, so last year, 2020, in August, Lawrence called me and said he had something new, and if I wanted to come on board. And yeah, that was the beginning of a roller coaster ride, I think you can call it. Like most DeFi projects, we started with launching the token. So I think between that phone call and launching the token, maybe there were 2 weeks. It was really quick. So well, it's a good thing we knew each other already. So things started rolling right from the beginning. And since then, in the last months, we have delivered contracts, published contracts, pretty much every month, continually pushing stuff live. So it was an exciting ride after the last 6 months.
Well, that's really exciting. So you guys have this idea. You guys want to come together and build this decentralized protocol. But there's some other big protocols. You got Aave, Compound, MakerDAO out there. What did you guys see needed to be addressed to say, hey, we're going to bring something new to the market?
Yeah, for sure. I think this part is really, what RAM is working and looking on as a solution. So I think the foundation of the DeFi market is really underpinned by, say, compound Aave, where, users lend and borrow assets. That's when things first started. What RAM is really solving for is really focusing on the staking and new farming space. So essentially, whenever users join a protocol, there's this metric called total value locked. And essentially, that's when the users put their assets, which has market value or stable coins, and it contributes to kind of like the size of the protocol. But that also just means that this protocol, the $1 that's taken away by one protocol cannot be shared with the second one. So it's really like competing for essentially TVL within the space. What RAM we want to do is really a little different. We want to help users optimize their efficiency on assets. So, if you deposit your assets into RAM protocol, what we'll do is that we'll help you to move these assets into staking or farming to generate returns. At the same time, we give users the option of collateralizing out a stablecoin called RUSD, which they can use as liquidity to participate in new DeFi protocols to generate extra yield, or to, if they want to, there's a lot of flexible users, they can also use the liquidity pools to exchange to USDT, USDC. So, it really gives them that extra kind of liquid capital that's on top of their staked assets and locked into all this TVL and DeFi protocols or staking programs to extract more efficiency on their capital instead of having to, say, put in more money from the bank into crypto. I think one of the key things that we are doing here as well is the cross-chain element. I think right now a lot of the DeFi mindshare is still on Ethereum and more recently Binance Smart Chain, but I would say cross-chain, there's a lot of liquidity in all the different layer ones. All of this capital assets and everything can interact with Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain, and we'll be able to connect up essentially what we think would be what we call a global liquidity network across different blockchains, and allowing all this value to flow across and interact with each other.
Well, that's cool. So you guys are addressing a lot of other blockchains and a lot of capital that's locked in those blockchains via staking, right? Some of these proof of stake protocols. And on the technical side, how does that work? Where you're staking and then at the same time providing liquidity on ramp? How does that work technically?
So,
yeah. Caspar, do you think this would be interesting for you to cover?
Sure. Yeah.
Technical side.
Yep. So the staking is actually like usual. For instance, someone stakes on let's say Tomo chain. These people, Tomo chain has been around for a while. People have bought in early. They are staking to support the network, and they don't want to, but they actually want to participate in the DeFi space in other chains like Ethereum. So they want to hold their Tomo. They don't want to sell it to buy Ethereum for that. So in a technical sense, they will still keep their stake on Tomo chain, but we have a contract through which they stake. So we are basically proxying their stake. We're staking on behalf of them. And that allows us, because we then have their stake as a, let's say, a collateral. We can then mint on Ethereum because we have the confidence that we have the collateral. We can then give those users RUSD on Ethereum. And we have the technology to manage their stake, to deal with liquidation if there is any, and also to mint on Ethereum. So those are the components of our technology.
Got it. So you're getting returns from your stake as well as providing liquidity.
You got that right, because the staking is still as usual. So normally when you stake, you get your rewards, and that's the beauty of it. So users can get USD stablecoins on Ethereum, and they earn their regular rewards. Actually, sometimes even a little bit more, because we are able to get some efficiency on the staking side as well, because we are operating a stake pool basically with our own nodes.
Wow. All right. So what other blockchains are you guys active on right now?
Yeah, good question. So I think Caspar mentioned Tomo. So we have phase one integrations already done with IOST, Tomo Chain, and Tezos. I think right now we are really focused on deploying the full end-to-end DeFi suite on Ethereum as well as Binance Smart Chain. So really, I think the advantage of RAM lies in that we are pretty flexible and chain agnostic. Where we believe that there will be liquidity and DeFi action taking place, then that's where we'll be able to launch an iteration of our smart contracts within that chain, and instantly be able to connect up the different points of liquidity and set up liquidity hubs across blockchain, let that liquidity flow where it needs to flow. And I think that really is this agility of liquidity over here, is one of our core defining features.
Cool. So RAMP is online and active right now?
Yeah, so our contracts are actually undergoing audit right now. So, always, as always, we are continually putting on product improvements, even when audit is ongoing. So I would say, ideally, we like to see, the full suite being launched in this month in March. Of course, there's a goal, as with development, is a constant, I would say constant iteration and, constantly improving the product, before and during, the launch and even beyond. So I think while we target for March, I think we should be able to get there, but, things crop up during development. So, we'll definitely deal with it as it comes, if it does come.
Great. So here's the elephant in the room. Everyone right now is talking about Ethereum and the transaction costs, right? And the gas fees. And so, is this something that worries you guys having your foundational contract on Ethereum? And if it is are there talks about moving on to some other chains?
Yeah, for sure. So I think right now we have seen quite a lot of MyShare moved over to Binance Smart Chain. So I think just last week, Caspar, acted really quickly, started working on a cross-chain bridge between Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. This week we went live. Everything is working perfectly. So amazing work by Caspar. So we have managed to move a part of our tokens, and I think there's been quite good interest on Binance Smart Chain, around RAM project and RAM tokens. I think the key is that the high Ethereum gas fees have prevented a lot of users who, unless you are buying a really big size to participate, right? And, I think that has put, I would say, a bit of blocker on DeFi activity as a whole on Ethereum. So, I think Binance Smart Chain with its super low cost fees and everything is really gaining a lot of traction. I think, this is probably more on the user and on the, I would say, I guess, trading, etc., that side of things. But I think, maybe Caspar have some to share around like how that actually impact his cost of like, launching smart contracts and stuff. I think it got quite a bit more costly.
Yeah, so gas fees are now there. I have a lot of war stories about that. But basically, everybody who is active on Ethereum knows about it. Gas, I think a few months ago, started out being normally 30, 40, 50. Nowadays, I'm not blinking if it's 300. So just an anecdote. I mean, the most frustrating as a developer, what can happen is that you are deploying a series of contracts and the gas fees fluctuate really wildly. So you set up the deployment for a gas fee of 100, and then in the next 30 seconds, it becomes a lot more. And then suddenly everything gets stuck. So there are really practical issues with Ethereum fluctuating so much. Now, the nice thing is, and to say something about Binance, is that Binance is not really decentralized, but it does exactly what people right now need. And that is just, actually get your contracts that you already have and that you have audited. Like in our case, all the contracts that we put live are audited. because the security situation on Ethereum is, as soon as you put it live, some people are going to try to hack it, and every month there's news of 20 million stolen here, 30 million stolen there. So the least that you can do is audit. Now, the nice thing about Binance is that you can deploy pretty much the same contracts that you have on Ethereum. You can deploy them on Binance. So the products keep working. You don't have to re-audit. You don't have to port it. So that is very nice. As a purist, I'm still a purist. I don't like the fact that it is not decentralized. So the moment that there's an alternative, I will move. But right now we are building the DeFi ecosystem, and we need to move. And spending $500 on deploying a contract, it's no fun.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, it's also just trying something is not viable anymore. You need to be a big fish.
I have to hop on this. You said as soon as there's an alternative, you guys are going to look at, and I know what you're thinking right now, Caspar. We're you and I, we run a stake pool together on the Cardano network, and a big update this last week. Merry hard fork. There's native assets now, and then in the next couple of months, supposedly there's smart contract functionality. Is that a network, a blockchain that's on your guys' radar?
So from my point, it's not Solidity. So that makes it not the immediate target. So right now we have a lot of time and money invested in products that are coded in Solidity. So if Cardano supports deploying without too much extra work, deploying Solidity products, absolutely, because I see that Cardano and Polkadot are really the most promising chains. So also within RAMP DeFi, Lawrence, if I'm right, those are the ones, but right now, especially Polkadot is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Lawrence, maybe you have something to add?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think pretty spot on. I think our decentralization is great up until it starts to cost you like $100 per transaction. And then maybe it's not so great. So I think just maybe from like a user perspective, I think DeFi it really is about products and adoption. So where there's products, then I think good products, and I think that's where users would gravitate towards. So I think notwithstanding the decentralization or centralization structure of Binance Smart Chain, I think it has drawn that sort of adoption. And I actually think that there's a good chance that that sort of adoption would lead to that sort of it hitting that sort of stride where the ecosystem starts to build upon itself, which I think is what's happening right now. A lot of products are being replicated, created on BSC, and potentially a lot of this action would probably still be retained. I think as you rightly point out, Cardano and Polkadot, all these are huge chains. So even by its own staking value alone, is huge for RAMP. So we are definitely going to explore and get this sort of things looked at done within this year if possible. I think again just going back to how RAMP is set up, I really think that we should be blockchain agnostic, which means that if again the Cardano and Polkadot DeFi ecosystem starts to take off, we have to be there to participate. We have to be creating that network where liquidity from the different chains can link up and be participating in the place where the best yield, the best products, the best ecosystems are found. And it doesn't need to be just one place. All this liquidity can play in multiple different ecosystems. So it can be just spread out across Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Cardano, and Polkadot, which actually I think would probably likely be what happens in the future when all these ecosystems really developed.
Well, I think that's a great philosophy that you guys have at RAMP, where you are blockchain agnostic, and it doesn't matter. There's no tribalism. There's no one coin to rule them all kind of thing. I know if you've been on Twitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a great philosophy to have, to be able to bring everyone together and say, hey, we can participate in decentralized finance no matter where we want to, stake our chips, or put our chips, or whatever you want to call it. So here at Block Devs Asia, we're here to be a support group and a informational source for up and coming developers here in Asia. So, do you have any advice or any advice for up and coming developers that want to get into blockchain? Is right now a good time to start getting into it? What should they do?
Yeah, good question. I think it's really kind of just looking back at the entire journey, right? Like I would say, I personally came into crypto since the 2017-18 period. So, that wasn't fun.
Yeah, I was there with you, brother.
That was, I think one of, the tougher times. I would say, right now, things have changed a lot, and, it's a lot more, I would say, and it's still early. So I would say it's pretty meaningful for developers to start looking at, how, say even, learning Solidity, and start picking up, all the different languages, figuring how blockchains work, even if they don't have any experience, it's still a great timing. I think the key is that since 2018 to today, there's been a real structural shift in mindset in the world towards crypto, towards Bitcoin, towards, I guess, maybe DeFi as well. It used to be that Bitcoin and, other tokens are considered speculation products. Today it's advised by, and as much as we kind of like are doing, things differently from the centralized institutions, but, they do still have that reputation, and it's being looked at being part of allocation. And I think this shift of mindset from speculation to allocation is actually very important for the industry, because it means that, there's this stability, there's this kind of like alignment and kind of acceptance within the broad traditional world of digital assets. And I think that means that this space will continue growing, with much more stability than before. And developers coming into this space would find that in any fast growing field, the ability to do good development work is very prized. And so I think there's lots of opportunities in the space, going forward from here.
Awesome. And Caspar, I'm going to send you the exact same question. What advice would you give young developers who want to get into the space?
I think it is interesting to go into other blockchains or other platforms. But if you want to get started and to get running immediately, starting Solidity, absolutely. So most of the things happen in Ethereum right now. There's a lot of materials to learn from also. So to learn the ropes, learn Solidity if you're a developer. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I also just add on that is that Ramp is always on the lookout for good developers. So and Caspar is one of the best leads I think within this space. So definitely developers looking to make their mark in blockchain should definitely get in touch with Caspar or me.
Yep, awesome. Yeah. Develop your skills in Solidity and send Caspar a message. Great. Well, just to end this conversation off, it's been a great conversation. Lawrence, where do you see crypto, DeFi, and RAMP by the end of 2021?
Yeah, good question. So I think, if it's just broadly around crypto and DeFi, I think, people have been talking about bull markets, but I think for me, it's really just about the maturity of the space. I think, part of the reason why DeFi and, DeFi has to a certain extent lifted crypto, off the winter, is because there's real products. And I think that's very important because people, now can, turn up and participate in, like options in, increasing their yield in all the sort of like different innovative protocols, even, things like algorithmic stablecoins, which are really more, towards social experiments, money experiments. But, all this sort of, I would say products, all this sort of innovation is taking place. And I think, what we see in blockchain is that, it creates different set of risk reward opportunities that's been substantially different from the traditional financial world, all the other different products that's out there. And I think this is where it's creating a lot of excitement and a lot of participation. And I think that's the key, participation, because I think in the past 2 years, a lot of focus have been around building infrastructure. So we see so many layer ones, layer twos, etc. But now products is the one really driving user adoption and user participation. So I really see, I'm really optimistic about the future of DeFi and crypto in general. Across this year, I think it'll continually grow. TVL will grow. Investments into DeFi will grow, and I think it will just not just 2021, but I think at least for the next a good 4 or 5 years. Of course, for RAMP itself, I think we have a very specific goal and mission. I think that will not change. That is to develop liquidity hubs across the different ecosystems where DeFi is maturing rapidly. So I think I would say our focus is really building out the core infrastructure on Ethereum on BSC, and then also launching this sort of what we call liquidity hubs across on all these different ecosystems that's growing, and then connecting up this liquidity and making it work. So at that time we'll see users being able to end up with a few very specific outcomes, which includes the ability to generate yield passively on their assets without really having to move them, and at the same time they can create liquid capital and really use this liquid capital to again yield farm, participate in other DeFi protocols, underwrite say insurance within the DeFi space, and all this would again generate additional extra yield for them. So helping them to maximize the capital efficiencies and the risk reward profiles that can be found on their assets.
That's awesome. And Caspar, do you have anything to add? Where do you see crypto, DeFi, and RAMP at the end of 2021?
Crypto. So I'm looking at it from a technical perspective mostly. I'm not honestly personally not too much into trading and etc. So I'm really more into how contracts work and how to make it work really. The gas fees are telling. So I see a lot of things moving into other chains. And personally, as a developer, I'm excited about that. It's fun to learn something new. Ethereum is now 4 or 5 years old. So it's also interesting to see a next generation of blockchains and also interconnections between blockchains take shape, and to be a part of that. So the solidity in Ethereum will always be like the basis, but Polkadot with their structure is very different. With the parachains, it's interesting. Ethereum 2.0 is also very interesting. Cardano is also very interesting. So I see us doing a lot more of those things during the year, with Ethereum still being like the baseline where everybody comes in through probably. So awesome. That is for me, the technical view of this year is going to be the other chains. Great. And connecting them. As for DeFi, it will continue. I can see the classic finance, traditional finance slowly crossing over. You see already a lot of products with derivatives where you can trade Tesla now. You can trade traditional products on the blockchain, and who knows, the banking system doesn't look too healthy. Things may start shifting faster than we can expect.
So over 100 billion in DeFi by into 2021, you think?
Yeah, I think the measuring point is maybe not a number, but is your mom or your grandma, are they going to decide to put part of their savings into a DeFi based fund? Maybe this year is too soon, but it's going to happen.
That's fantastic. Lawrence, tell the viewers where they can learn more about RAMP and how to get in touch with your team.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the best way to understand the value proposition of RAMP would be to just go to our website, https://rampdefi rampdefi.com. So that's where you find our website. At the bottom, you can join all our social channels. We are very active on Telegram. I do a community AMA on Wednesday, 10 p.m. every week. So users can actually just ask me questions directly within the chat. Our admins there are covering the chat 24/7 as well. So users get full support. Also on Twitter, we post updates regularly. So RAMP DeFi handle on Twitter is where you can follow RAMP DeFi for the latest updates. I think that's really about it for at least the commercial side. Of course, if you are a developer and looking to learn more about what RAM is building, what RAM is doing, I think our GitHub would be the best place. I think some of our audits and some of our codes are put into folders on GitHub. Not everything is publicized for IP reasons, but we do have a good kind of like a public materials out there. So happy for developers to look over our code and even contact us. If developers feel that there's anything that can be improved. I think. I think that's mainly about that. Just ping us. If you're a developer looking to, learn about RAMP DeFi or even to work together with RAMP DeFi.
Awesome. Caspar, Lawrence, thank you guys so much for the time. It's been a fantastic conversation. We learned so much, and let's do this again 6 months down the line, and let's see where we're at.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Mike, for hosting. This is amazing, and very happy to jump back on again. With exciting updates 6 months later.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.